What is something that you need to confess? I've eaten 8 ice cream sandwiches today. Dear thighs. I am so sorry. Honestly, the only reason why I haven't held myself is because I can't do that to my parents. I've been suicidal all my life and no one knows about it. Edit. Thanks everyone. Edit 2. You guys are a very caring group of people. Edit 3. Thank you for giving me gold random redditor. I masturbate in the bathroom at work 3 times a day. I'm terrified of going to university and I'm getting on in age. Rubbed Willis with a guy once. I've been taking stimulants to lose weight and I think they're going to heal me. My heart is beating hard as duck right now and I have a terrible pain in my left wrist. Steadily on my way to becoming an alcoholic. My mother's husband healed my guinea pig, so I scrubbed the toilet with his toothbrush. Pissed in his wine. Put glass shards in his shoe. Put hydrogen peroxide in his eye drops and spiked one of his lunches with ketamine. He got into a car accident after the ketamine one and I'm damn ducking proud of what I did. I'm still crazy in love with my ex-girlfriend. I cheated at poker this Saturday so that my friend would win. I probably haven't but I'm too afraid to get tested. Also, I stole some of my friend's Pokemon cards 8 years ago. I'm really sorry about that one, Chris. My bad. I ducked my best friend while her girlfriend was in the next room. I'm so sorry about that, Lauren. We both ducked up really hard. I can never make that up to you. That is quite a confession. I pushed a 3rd grade kid over when I was in the 6th grade. He started crying. And I panicked and ran away. Turned my head and he was all alone on the playground. Sitting in his own tears. I'm sorry. Edit. Holy sheet. Gold. Thanks. When I was in elementary school, some kid walked up to me, put his arm around my shoulder, and asked, "Hey man, how was your trip?" I told him that I hadn't had a recent trip. He said, "I can fix that. I've got a trip for you." And then tripped me to where I fell on the ground. I was so mad at first. But after a few minutes I thought it was hilarious and clever. After calming down, I ran up to some smaller kid with glasses that I didn't know. And got to work. I put my arm around him. Threw him on the ground and yelled, "Hey, I hope you enjoy your trip. Did you have a trip?" I was so embarrassed that I had butchered the whole script, so I ran away while some little kid is laying on the ground with broken glasses and crying. Every time I think of that story I feel so bad about what I did. I just wanted to do a funny joke. I ducked it up. Got embarrassed. And left without helping him. This little kid is probably like 25-30 years old now and I sure hope he has contact lenses or some better glasses by now. I'm procrastinating from getting on with life. Change is hard. I get that. Seeing people around me fail makes me feel better about my own shortcomings. Edit. Got it. Schadenfreude. I think we all feel that way sometimes. It's not like we want them to fail. But their duck up makes us look better. Everybody wants to look better. I downloaded a car. I think there are completely useless human beings. Some people just don't use their potential and it's frustrating. Sometimes I get bouts of depression, but I am too proud to go on a regular low-dose antidepressant. Edit. I knew I wasn't the only one. I almost feel less anxious because I know I'm not alone. Thanks for the advice and support. I'm sure others needed it as well. Alright buddy. Listen up. I waited years and years in fear of side effects of antidepressants before trying them. I finally nutted up and tried them. At first it sucked. But then I found one that was right for me. And it changed my life. I'll never stop regretting how much time. So many of my best years I wasted suffering from anxiety depression when I could have been living a normal life. Don't make the same mistake I did. Please. I somehow remembered my throwaway account. I never graduated college. In fact, I barely went to a community college before dropping out. Before working for the company I do now, I never had a job higher than 3rd key manager for retail stores. I was unemployed and really starting to stress out about finding a job before getting evicted. So one night, in a bout of depression, I made up a fake resume. I gave myself awesome jobs. Gave myself a degree from a decent college. Made up some references. Basically made the perfect resume. I then submitted it to what was a dream job for me then. I got an interview. At this point I was thinking it would be a great story to tell my buddies after bombing the interview. But I didn't. It went perfectly. I'm telling you that I could have done that interview 1000 different times and it would have never come off better. I was simply on fire that day and they ended up offering me the job. So I accepted. It was for a salary that was almost 3 times I had ever made in my life. I figured at this point what was the worst that could happen? Maybe I'll get a week or 2 of paychecks before firing me. But that didn't happen. I've been promoted 4 times since then. After starting off making around $60,000 a year, almost $40,000 a year more than I have made before, I now make over 6 figures a year. Before this job I never had a job outside of retail. I turned in the resume more as a joke than anything else and it kept snowballing. Dude. If you can do the job, and well enough to get promoted so many times, it goes to show how the credentials were not necessary in the first place. Go you. I don't have a confession. But I do want to say that Arp's a ludda bro. She's replying to every single comment. Edited for gender. No problem. I'm a ludda bro. My girlfriend is much better at Reddit than me. Love you. Sweetie. My giant sexy engagement ring is a created diamond. You, my dear co-workers, all love it to death and go on about how amazing it is because you think my fiancé dropped $10,000 on it. It cost $50 on eBay and I love it because it's science and not De Beers. You guys are on your way to happy marriage. I am terrified of my parents. I'm 20. Living at home with them. And can't even go out to hang with friends because I am so scared to talk to them. Are they overbearing? There is a girl who may or may not check my Reddit account. I've always liked you. I'd do a lot for you. It's a shame. Edit, I'll work up the courage to do it sometime soon. Thanks. I'll show her this comment and Dirty Pauses poem if it works out. I've been wearing the same jeans for the past 2 months. I just read a thread the other day and a lot of people don't really wash their jeans much. Maybe once a week. Sometimes I feel sorry for inanimate objects. Like if I have to take a gift back that doesn't fit. I feel like it's sad because it thought it had a home and now it doesn't. This made me sad. : I purchase ugly things like dented cans or misshapen bread because no one else will want them. I've even bought really ugly shoes that I didn't like because of this. It's not their fault that they look like that. Curiously, I also work in disability. Do you have a job like this? I'm lonely and would like to become friends with certain people I know and reconnect with old friends I have drifted away from. However, I'm afraid of being hurt and or judged. So I don't open up and I pull away from people if I feel I am opening up too much. I let my sea monkeys die. Oh god, I am so sorry you guys. It was an accident. You think that's bad? I bred them in a huge tank and fed them to thousands of fish every day when I worked as a lab assistant. I act like I can't wait to experience life and explore the world. And I mean, I am excited for that stuff. But I'm also scared itless of the big, scary world I'll have to explore. Because when I start exploring, I won't have anyone to comfort me when things go bad. If you can, go outside and look at the night sky. See each of those tiny points of light? That's a star, a gigantic, welling ball of flaming gas that is billions of times larger than Earth. Or maybe it's a galaxy. So large that a trillion Earths would still be small in scale. And then look around. There are thousands of stars. Millions. More than we could ever count. The universe is massive. It is gigantic. It is nearly incomprehensible. And then look at you. You are not the size of Earth. You are small. Very small. So small that you couldn't even see yourself from one of those stars with the most powerful of telescopes. You couldn't be photographed from the bottom of the ocean. You are small, minuscule, almost non-existent. And yet you exist. The great thing about being small, though, is that your problems are small, too. So is your fear, and your doubt, and your worry that you'll be alone when you explore, which you won't be. 'Cause you will meet people along the journey that think like you, feel like you, desire the company with a friend like you do. And if you don't, call me up. I'll join you. I don't know if this is helpful, but it's what's kept me going over the past couple of days. PM me if you ever want to chat. Hug from one explorer to another. It's going to be okay. Edit. I am overwhelmed at the amount of people who say this piece has moved them. I am moved as well by the strength, power, and love of the people who have responded. You are all facing a myriad of difficult challenges, and yet you have the fortitude to stare them down and call them small. You are the true champions of this work. Thank you for inspiring me. To anyone who is reading this and is having a hard time, please reach out to family members, a friend, or the suicide hotline. If you are in better spirits, please consider donating to a charity that helps those in need, or donating your time to a worthy cause. Tell them Cinema Chick sent ya. Semicolon. Again. Thank you all. I'm so glad that something I said could help so many people. Hug, stay awesome. Y'all. My mom passed when I was 15 and she had lived with a condition all of her life, and every friend of the family told me that she might not be around forever since I was 7, but I was such a brat and fought and argued with her. I never saw it coming when she did die because, make fun of me if you will, she was my best friend, and although I argued and acted like a little sheet, I respected her opinion on things in my life and actually enjoyed her company. She passed away about 2 weeks after Christmas, and she had surprised me with a book I had really wanted, but it was really expensive and I never saw it coming, and I spent hours over that book. And when she died I felt the absence of happiness, and I couldn't even touch it without feeling sadness. I was the one who called the ambulance. I called twice because I was scared. She was pleading with me to find a way to call or get a hold of my stepdad, pre-cell phone era, because she didn't know what to do and was afraid of having to pay for an ambulance and the resulting medical bills. Perhaps an hour before the arterial hemorrhage hit her and she started to lose physical control, mental faculty and the ability to speak, she came out to the living room and told me that she was going to lay down early because she had a bad headache. Later it was told to me that the persistent headache she had had the entirety of the week was just a precursor to what happened that night. Friday night, if I hadn't said, and that she wanted a hug, which I thought was a little strange and random, but I obliged, and she said, I know you don't think I do, but I love you, and the sad part about it is that I would normally, in my little stupid sheet of a brat brain, said some sarcastic comment to myself like, no you don't bitch, but this time I didn't for whatever reason and believed her. Later, when everything went down, I was yelling at her when she couldn't move. She told me I can't. And I retorted with the same thing she used to always say to me when I said can't, and that was can't as another word for I don't want to. I was so scared and thought terrible thoughts like, why me? Why is this happening now? I was trying to move her out to the living room from her bedroom so I could keep a better eye on her while I tried to call my stepdad. I eventually overcame my fear and called the ambulance. She passed away at 1 a.m. that night. I waited up for my stepdad, who didn't get back for another 3 hours after the fact, and I was too tired and scared to go to the hospital. I woke up and found out, and my life changed forever. It felt like an abject absence of happiness. Nothing I could do brought me any joy. I've never really recovered. Too long didn't read. I was a little sheet and a brat to my mom up until the very end, when she had done the best she could throughout her life to take care of me in her condition. I still feel like I'm not living a life that would make her proud sometimes. Thanks if you read the whole thing. It wasn't easy for me to write. Edit. I'm not sure how to make this reach to everyone who said so many nice things, but I figured an edit was deserved. I thought nothing of the post when I dropped my experiences down to you all last night, and was very shocked when I came home and saw all of the kind words and upvotes. Thank you very much for all of it. To elaborate for some, both of my parents died when I was young, and after my mom died I lived with my stepdad in a trailer park for about a year and a half after she passed. He degenerated and stopped working on a regular basis, and I'm fairly certain that he was doing coke with some of his occasional working partners. I eventually moved out of the home I had shared with him and my mom for nearly 9 years and moved in with one of my high school teachers and his wife, and while he never legally adopted me, he treated me like his own, and I still call him dad to this day nearly 8 years later. I almost flunked out of school before making the transition, and it took me until the middle of sophomore year to make any sort of emotional recovery and began turning things around. I turned my grades around and I graduated in the top 10% of my class. Earned a Navy ROTC scholarship to a school in town and a full ride from the same school. I earned a double major. Was a member of multiple honor societies and club officer in many clubs. Today, nearly 10 years later, I am now an officer in the Navy with 2 bachelor's degrees. Speak French nearly fluently and have seen parts of the world I would have never thought possible when I was young. Through it all, just hope she's proud. I'm going through a huge depressive period right now and it sucks. Can't do anything but sleep and internet. As a person in the same situation, try just leaving the house and choosing something to do. Decide to clean your entire room top to bottom. Wash all your clothes. Shower and shave, etc. The more you move and feel like you've accomplished something, anything, the less depressed you will be about the fact that you've done nothing on top of the normal depressed feelings you have. I spend more time on Reddit than I do sleeping. I feel like I would be more productive without Reddit. I'm not an atheist. Before I can remember, I was sexually abused. When I was 11. My older brother, my abuser, raped my best friend in front of me in my friend's house. While babysitting, my friend had the courage to tell his mother that night. The next day, my mother was informed. Feeling that I could finally speak, I decided to tell her what he had been doing to me for years. She brought me down to his room where he said no. That never ever happened. She took his word. And I was beaten all the way up the stairs out of the basement. And up the stairs to my room. Then was tossed into my room. Door slammed shut and told to stay there for the night. I don't recall all the events. But soon he was out of the house. And the day he was gone, she took me outside across the street to a drainage hole, big area that fills up when the creek floods. She walked me in there and proceeded to say, "You're a little liar." And you know what they do with liars? They bring them down here to throw stones at them. And when they're finished, they put you in there, pointed at the big drainage pipes that had grills, and forget about you. Just before my 12th birthday, I was sick and forgot to take the garbage out. I was in my underwear and I remember it being freezing cold out. She tossed me outside where I sat in the field for an hour before my grandfather showed up. He seemed angry. Never seen him so angry. It wasn't at me. I was told he was bringing me to live with my father. I was scared shitless of my father. Due to my mother's propaganda. My father is loving, however oblivious to things around him. I believe PTSD from the military, maybe not oblivious now that I think of this. Things were good until he started to date a woman who in her own way was as crazy as my mother. I don't have much memory from this time. 14, 17. Then again, I don't have much memory from who knows, 12. 14 was good. I do remember being woken up to being hit over and over again by her. And my proudest memory was after an altercation between me and her son. And her trying to take a swing at me. In front of my father. I stopped, both arms held them. And screamed everything I thought of her. My father separated us. And he and I moved out right then and there. It was his house. I spent years running from my past. Relying heavily on drugs to function, it seems. No matter how hard I tried to focus on the present, I was stuck looking in the rearview mirror and beating myself up over decisions and things that had happened to me. I've used 6 to numb my pain. Alcohol. A lot of shit. I then started dating an amazing woman and have an incredible daughter. For 2 years I did everything for them. Never anything for me. Despite her asking me to do things for myself. I never understood that. Until I noticed that some things with me weren't normal. I have severe anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, for years. And no self-confidence, which to people who knew me as a teen would never guess. She asked me to go to a men's resource center. I couldn't bring myself to do it for a long time. And then one day I just went. I don't know why. But I did. I began group sessions with men who were all there for different reasons. It was just general sessions about emotions, feelings, etc. It was there I was told I most likely have PTSD. Something I denied almost immediately. Because I was never a soldier. Stupid rationalization. I know. I now realize it to be true. I still have a long way to go. But now I'm having a better look at things. I'm going to be going back to finish my high school. A great shame for never finishing. Every teacher I had constantly praised my intelligence. And for never doing homework. My marks reflected what they were telling me. I have long-term goals. I want to become a psychologist. I want to help people. I also want to get into the schools to speak to kids about knowing their emotions. Their feelings. I discovered it doesn't take sexual abuse to feel how I felt for years. And I honestly believe we don't teach our children how to express themselves. I sat 4 years in school hearing why drugs were bad. But never why someone did them. Sorry for any hard to follow sentences. And thank you for this question. I've only told my girlfriend what's happened to me in full as much as I remember. The itch with PTSD, however, as it seems to me, the more safe I feel, the more ducked up flashbacks I get.